Hello, I am Pramod Kumar. Today we will study macroeconomics. Our chapter is Open Economy Macroeconomics, and we have divided this chapter in 4 parts. We have already covered 3, so this is part 4 of 4, right? In this part we will discuss the remaining points of determination of income in open economy and equilibrium output and trade balance. Toward the end of part 3 of 4, we discussed domestic demand minus imports is equal to demand for domestic goods. When we subtract imports from domestic demand, it is equal to demand for domestic goods. Because this is the circular flow of income, imports escape out of this flow because it goes to some other country. And exports are injected into the circular flow of income because they come from foreign country to our economy, right? So now we go ahead. We have discussed export depend on foreign income plus real rate of exchange. Imports depend on domestic income and real rate of exchange, right? Demand for imports depends on income and it has an autonomous component. What is autonomous component? M bar is autonomous component of imports. What are autonomous components? They need to be incurred irrespective of the level of income. So some imports will be there, some consumption will be there, some investment will be there. They are called autonomous. They will need to be incurred, right? So here what happens, this M bar means autonomous component of imports is a number which is greater than 0. It's a positive number, right? Then it is an autonomous component of imports and it is between 0 and 1. No, it's a positive number. It's a positive number, and then we come to, like we had discussed, marginal propensity to consume, right? This C was consumption expenditure and this small c was MPC, marginal propensity to consume, fraction of the additional income that is spent on consumption. So same way we have small m, that is marginal propensity to import. Marginal propensity to import means fraction of additional income of a rupee which goes towards imports. We have already discussed when income goes up, imports go up, our demand for imported goods goes up. When real exchange rate goes up, imports go down. So imports are positively related to income and negatively related to real rate of exchange, right? Then this M, marginal propensity to import, is a number between 0 and 1, right? It's a, as we had marginal propensity to consume C between 0 and 1, same way we have marginal propensity to import a small m between 0 and 1, right? So in this case, what will be the equilibrium income, right? What will be the equilibrium income? That we want to know because we are discussing determination of income in an open economy, right? So equilibrium income, which we say Y equilibrium, national income identity national income identity for open economy, what it will be? It will be Y plus M. What is Y? Domestic income plus what is M? Imports is equal to consumption plus investment plus government expenditure plus exports. Consumption expenditure, investment expenditure, government expenditure plus exports, right? When we rearrange it, we get Y is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M, or Y is equal to C plus I plus G plus NX, net exports. Exports minus imports, net exports, right? So, equilibrium income will be what it will be? Y is equal to autonomous consumption expenditure. Autonomous consumption expenditure plus a small c, marginal propensity to consume, Y minus T. What is this? This is disposable income. Income minus taxes is equal to disposable income multiplied by marginal propensity to consume, which is a number between 0 and 1, right? So, equilibrium income is equal to autonomous expenditure on consumption, that expenditure which needs to be spent for survival, sustenance, irrespective of income. Whether income is there or not, some sustenance expenses have to be there on consumption, plus marginal propensity to consume multiplied by Y minus T, disposable income, income minus taxes, disposable income, plus autonomous investment plus autonomous government expenditure plus autonomous exports minus autonomous imports, right, minus marginal propensity to import into income. So, equilibrium income is equal to Y is equal to autonomous expenditure on consumption plus marginal propensity to consume multiplied by disposable income plus autonomous investment, autonomous government, autonomous exports minus autonomous imports minus marginal propensity to import multiplied by income, right? MY, this is marginal propensity to import, fraction of an additional income of rupee spent on imports, right? Taking all autonomous expenses as A bar, if we take all of these autonomous expenses as A bar, A representing all autonomous expenses, what do we get then? What do we get? Y is equal to A bar means a sum of all these autonomous expenses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Sum of all autonomous expenses here, A bar plus marginal propensity to consume multiplied by domestic income, right, minus marginal propensity to import multiplied by domestic income. This is Y is equal to A bar plus CY plus M minus MY minus, right, A bar plus CY minus MY, or it can also be written like this. How do we write it? 1 minus C plus M, 1 minus C plus M multiplied by Y multiplied by y is equal to a bar, sum of autonomous expenses. 1 minus c plus m multiplied by y is equal to a bar, sum of all autonomous expenses. Or it can also be written like this. How do we write it like this? We can write it like this: equilibrium income is equal to 1 upon 1 minus c plus m. 1 minus c plus m, 1 minus marginal propensity to consume plus marginal propensity to import multiplied by a bar, sum of all the autonomous expenses, right? Then we can say open economy multiplier. We have already discussed one multiplier keeps playing its role, right? Multiplier. So open economy multiplier is equal to delta y upon delta a bar, right? Open economy multiplier is equal to change in domestic income upon change in sum of autonomous expenses, right? And this is equal to 1 upon 1 minus c plus m. 1 upon 1 minus marginal propensity to consume plus marginal propensity to import. Now, let us do one small arithmetic, right? How do we do that? Suppose if C is equal to 0.8, C means marginal propensity to consume is 0.8. It means if my income goes up by 1 rupee, I consume 80 paise of that rupee, 0.8. Marginal propensity to consume is equal to 0.8. It means if my income goes up by 1 rupee, I spend on consumption 80 paise of that 1 rupee, right? If C is equal to 0.8 and M is equal to 0.3, right? Marginal propensity to consume is 0.8, marginal propensity to import is 0.3, then closed economy multiplier. Closed economy multiplier is equal to, what is the closed economy multiplier? We have already discussed element of exports and imports will not be here. Here we will find C plus I plus G, consumption expenditure, investment expenditure, government expenditure, right? It will be 1 upon 1 minus C is equal to 1 upon 1 minus 0.8 is equal to 1 upon 0.2 is equal to 5. So closed economy multiplier is equal to 1 upon 1 minus marginal propensity to consume is equal to 1 upon 1 minus 0.8 is equal to 1 upon 0.2 is equal to 5. Now same thing we will do for open economy. Open economy multiplier, what is that? Is equal to 1 upon 1 minus C plus M. 1 upon 1 minus C plus M means 1 upon 1 minus marginal propensity to consume plus marginal propensity to import. So it comes to 1 upon 1 minus 0.8 plus 0.3 is equal to 1 upon 1.3 minus 0.8, 0.5 is equal to 2. So you will notice closed economy multiplier is 5. Open economy multiplier is 2. Why? When the economy is closed, the multiplier is 5 higher. When the economy is open, the multiplier is 2 lower. Why? Because as we have discussed, imports escape out of the circular flow of income. Imports in closed economy, there are no imports. In open economy, they are there. So imports escape out of the circular flow of income. Suppose Indian economy, 70% of the economy, suppose 70% of the GDP, it relates to imports. Then what happens? When the government wants to spend more, suppose government has decided it will spend 1 lakh crore more rupees, 1 lakh crore rupees more. What will happen? 70,000 crore rupees will go outside and domestic output, domestic income will increase only by 30,000 crore rupees, right? So, open economy multiplier is always lower than the closed economy multiplier, right? Had imports not been there, this multiplier would have been 5 because there are no imports. But since imports are there, the multiplier has become lower than 5 at 2. Suppose Indian economy is 70% dependent on imports. Government decides to spend 1 lakh crore more. So 70% of this 1 lakh crore, 70,000 crore will go out for imports. Only 30,000 crore will be there for increasing output, income in the domestic economy. So the multiplier is a low figure, right? If domestic autonomous, in case of this, if domestic autonomous expenditure, if domestic autonomous demand increases by 100 rupees in India, if domestic autonomous demand increases by 100 rupees, if the economy is closed, the multiplier impact will be 5. So, in a closed economy, the output will increase by 500 rupees. Though domestic autonomous demand has increased by 100 rupees, in case of closed economy, the domestic output will increase by 500 rupees. But if the economy is open, it will increase only by 200 rupees. So when it increases only by 200 rupees, the output will increase by less. The income will increase by less as compared to the closed economy, right? So now we go to equilibrium output and trade balance. What is that? Equilibrium output and trade balance. What is trade balance? Where exports and imports are equal, right? Equilibrium output and trade balance. We'll see here. See here, this is the aggregate demand and this is what it is. This is domestic income, Y. So here you will find Here we will see the relationship between, what is the relationship that we see? We will see this is the relationship. This line is AA, this line is DD, and this line is AA, DD, AD. So what does it reflect? This is the level of domestic income. This is the level of AA, DD, demand. This is the DD. And this is aggregate demand. So what is happening here? You will find the difference between AA and DD is of exports. So you will find that the distance between AA and DD here and AA and DD here is equal. And if you reduce exports minus DD from DD, you will get AA. Exports don't depend on domestic income. We have already discussed export depend on foreign income and real exchange rate. Here we are talking of domestic income Y. So when Y increases from 0 to Y, it remains constant. The difference between AA and DD remains constant. Exports are not influenced by increase in domestic income. So the difference between AA and DD remains constant. It doesn't get impacted by increase in domestic income. But when you see aggregate demand, then you find that initially the difference between AD and AA is less, but it keeps on increasing with increase in domestic income. So when you deduct AD, when you deduct here what is happening, AD includes imports. AD includes imports, and as we have already discussed, imports are influenced by two things, domestic income and real exchange rate. So here as domestic income goes up, imports go up, right? And you will find that at this point, equilibrium point, exports and imports are equal. There is a trade balance. At the Y level of domestic income, there is a trade balance because DD cuts AD, or AD and DD intersect at E. So here the difference keeps on increasing, but here is the equilibrium. Below Y level of income, there is a trade surplus. Beyond Y, there is trade deficit, because as income keeps on growing, listen carefully, as income keeps on growing, imports also keep on growing, with exports remaining constant. So what happens? Net exports keep on declining and we get trade deficit. If the income goes beyond Y, we get trade deficit because imports keep on increasing and exports remain the same, constant. So the gap between exports and imports keeps on increasing towards more of imports. So net exports keep on declining and we get trade deficit, and before the point of Y level of income, we have trade surplus, right? We have trade surplus. So you need to understand it in a very, very easy language. And here if you take it here, this is the, what they have done, this is the YTB, trade balance, and this is E1, new equilibrium, and here we have, this is Y level of income, right, and CBA, this is C, this is B, this is A. So AC, what is AC? AC is the exports, and what is imports? Imports is AB. So what is the surplus? BC is the surplus, trade surplus at this point of time, and trade balance is here, exports and imports are equal, right? Exports and imports are equal, but at this Y, what is happening? A, B, C. This represents, this AC represents exports, as we have already discussed that the distance between AA and DD is exports. So AC is exports, AB is imports, because we have discussed aggregate demand includes imports. So BC is the, or CB is the trade surplus. Exports are more than imports, but they become zero. Trade balance, exports and imports are equal. Beyond this YTB, trade balance, if the income goes beyond YTB level, then we start getting trade deficit, because with increasing income, imports keep on increasing with exports remaining constant. So the difference keeps on increasing in favor of imports. So we have a trade deficit, right? This point, up to this point, trade surplus, this point, trade balance, beyond this, trade deficit, right? Then what happens when there is increase in foreign demand? When there is increase in foreign demand, then our output increases, our exports increase, our income increases, and when our exports increase, our trade surplus increases, right? And when there is decline in foreign demand, if decline in foreign demand is there, then output will decline, our output, exports will decline, and trade surplus will decline, or it will go into trade deficit. Then what happens when there is change in price? If foreign goods become costlier, then our exports increase. If foreign goods become costlier due to price rise there, our exports increase, our output increases, our income increases. If goods become cheaper abroad, then our exports decline, our imports increase, and our trade deficit grows. Trade deficit grows. What happens when there is change in exchange rate? If nominal exchange rate changes, so it impacts real exchange rate also. Suppose real exchange rate has gone up, it means foreign goods will become costlier vis-a-vis our goods. So imports will decline, exports will increase. So output will increase, exports will increase, income will increase, and trade surplus will increase. And if exchange rate becomes lower, then what happens? Our goods will become costlier. So exports will decline, output will decline, income will decline, import will increase, and trade deficit will increase, right? So I hope you found it easy to understand. We have explained almost everything. If you want, we can take 1 or 2 more minutes, right? Interdependent increase in foreign demand. If there is increase in foreign demand, our exports will increase, our output will increase, our income will increase, and our trade surplus will increase, right? If there is decline in foreign demand, our exports will decline, our output will decline, our income will decline, and our trade surplus will decline. Change in price. If prices increase in foreign countries, then our goods become cheaper, our exports will increase, our output will increase, our income will increase, our trade surplus will increase. If prices decline in foreign countries, then our goods become costlier as compared to their goods. So our exports will decline, our output will decline, our income will decline, and our trade surplus will decline. When exchange rate changes, if real exchange rate goes up, our goods become cheaper, our exports increase, our output increases, income increases, trade surplus increases. If exchange rate becomes lower, then the other way it happens, right? So I think you found it easy to understand. In case of any difficulty, please do approach me on my email ID, which will be there at the thumbnail to the video. Thank you very much.